Emotional blueprint is your emotional map you developed through life experiences that influences the way you interact with relationships, how you deal with stress, challenges, and opportunities. Good morning and welcome to Morning Tea. I am Chanel Witten. I am the Emotional Blueprint Practitioner, and I am here to allow your emotions to make sense. In this space, we deal with all things to do with well-being. Your food, your health, and your environment. So once again, welcome aboard. Hi, I would like to take this opportunity to really give a formal, if that's the word we're going to use, introduction and to say thank you for being in this space. This is a space of light. This is a space to be able to be empowered, to be uplifted, and for transformation. This is a calm space, a space where you want to embrace your personal growth. You want to embrace understanding how food and nutrition can help you in all aspects of your life, and understanding how different environments brings different pleasures and different stresses, and look at ways how we can deal with these things. So from the bottom of my heart, I am really thankful and welcome you to join this space. See, this space for me is vital. Imagine, I worked in the NHS, in the healthcare sector for about 15 years or more. And that's both starting out in neuroscience and mental health. Worked there for maybe about 5-6 years. And in this time, I searched for answers, being poked and poked and electrocuted into answers that I only discovered last year. No doctor could actually really help me. All they was doing was ever treating the symptoms, never being able to find the root cause of it. So once I did understand where the aches and the pains were coming from in my body and what contributed to them, guys, a game changer. Our health is our wealth. And regardless of your culture, regardless of your race, we are all human beings. We all have the same organs and we all need to look after ourselves, even though challenges may come in different ways and affect us in different ways. So that brings me on. As I say, I am the Emotional Blueprint Practitioner. But then you might be saying, but what is an emotional blueprint? Well, let me put it to you in simple terms. Your emotions are chemicals that allow your brain and your body to work together. This influences everything to do, sorry guys, to do with how you think and you behave. And it shows up in many different manners, such as in your body, such as feeling tension, or your heart racing or slowing down. Sorry guys. Okay. Yeah, so your heart rate and tension in your body are just coupled, only two of the signs of that it shows in your body. it also comes up in the way your brain thinks, how you interpret your situation. Okay? And then that also goes on to your own personal, subjective experience of any particular situation. So with those, that will then lead to how you behave, which actions you take in your behavior. I want to take this opportunity to let you know about our morning tea fact sheet. It gives you a more thorough breakdown of the discussions that we've had each week, because I understand that our time is quite limited at this moment in time of what I give to you. So it's just a time and a space for us to be able to get ourselves together, even if it's just once a week right now, to sit down, sip our tea, mind our business, while we focus on our well-being. So if that is you and you would like any additional information of any of the topics that you have seen each week, drop us a line and say more info, fact sheet. Again, more info, fact sheet, and we will get the relevant steps in place so that you can get it. Back to the show. I want to take this opportunity to let you know about our morning tea fact sheet. It gives you a more thorough breakdown of the discussions that we've had each week, because I understand that our time is quite limited at this moment in time of what I give to you. So it's just a time and a space for us to be able to get ourselves together, even if it's just once a week right now, to sit down, sip our tea, mind our business, while we focus on our well-being. So if that is you and you would like any additional information of any of the topics that you have seen each week, drop us a line and say more info, fact sheet. Again, more info, fact sheet, and we will get the relevant steps in place so that you can get it. Back to the show. So, your emotions are what you think about a situation, how you feel about the situation, to your subjective experience, your personal experience, and then it leads on to how you behave, the actions you take from what you think to what you feel will then lead on to how you behave about any particular situation or experience. So that's emotion. So now it brings us on to the actual blueprint itself. Okay, so your emotional map, your emotional blueprint is your emotional map you developed through life experiences that influences the way you interact with relationships, how you deal with stress, challenges, and opportunities. So that is your blueprint, and that is what's been influenced over the years from the day you was born until you are now, which gains patterns that you've learned in how to deal with situations the way you deal with them today. So I hope that gives you a better understanding of your emotions and what your emotional blueprint is, which is your emotional map that you developed throughout life. So now, as you know, each week we pick a herb or some form of food that has both nutritional elements, and some of them, like the one today, may even have medicinal. So I know, even if you don't have it in your kitchen, in your cupboard, in your veg rack, in your fridge, you might have seen them in the store. They're bright yellow, orangey yellow. They're quite small in size, but yet has such a big impact. They look like, maybe you could call them little fingers, little roots with little roots on them. They are widely used in China and Asia. Yeah, China and India, I believe it is, for medicinal purposes. And it's also very well known to be the base of curry powders. Do you know what it is I'm talking about? No? We're talking about turmeric. Turmeric is such a potent herb, if that's what we're going to call it today, that does far more than give you colouring and be the basis for those amazing curries, whether it's curry chicken, curry goat, curry lamb, whichever culture are the curries. It does more than that. It actually works very well for inflammation. Oh yes, it does. It's well known. It's very, very well known. Hold on, let me go to here. Sorry, bear with me, guys. I'm just here picking up my notes because I have to say, can I just share something with you, please? With that beautiful, tender age that sometimes the mind just might go just for a split second. So just make sure I got my notes. Yeah, there's no shame in the game. I let it known. You know, I'm so young in age. You know, the hormones are just lovely. Sorry, guys. Sorry, that's just my bit of my dry sense of humor. But yeah, I drifted. Let's get back to it. What we talked about? Turmeric. Turmeric as well for curries and used for medicinal purposes in India and China from traditionally. And it's also known for its, what's the pronunciation? Curcumin, or some might say corsamin, depending on your pronunciation. Now this is very well known within the turmeric, okay, to be dealing with that's anti-inflammatory. Okay, this is, how can I put this to you now? Anti-inflammatory, inflammation, I should say, is actually good. It's there to keep the body healthy. So if you get a cut, a graze, those kind of things, it actually helps it to heal. That's what it's there for. But what happens is the immune system that allows the healing to these injuries doesn't shut down. Look at it like a fire. Fires are good. You use them to cook your food. You use it to maybe boil water, whatever to cook on. The point is I'm making. So imagine now that your food is cooked and the fire doesn't turn off. It just keeps going and going. Well, eventually it's going to start burning down the kitchen because it hasn't switched off. Now, turmeric, with its amazing components, the curcumin, excuse me, I'm tongue-tied, curcumin, allows for it to turn back down the fire to the level that just cooks the food and then turns it off. In other words, is that it only shuts down enough to what the body actually needs to switch it off, because now the wound is healed or healing, so it doesn't need that. So that is what the carcassin in it does. And in addition, it also has antioxidant properties in there. Okay, so it's not just good for coloring. It's not just good for our curries. It's actually good for our as an anti-inflammation. So I hope that my little stumbled version of it that I've just given to you makes sense. You know, you can go anywhere and find them. They're, to my knowledge, is just vastly known worldwide in the supermarkets, or you can go and get them, actually, depending on where you live, you can get them fresh from out the ground. But yes, this turmeric, this bright, vibrant, yellowy orange, full of power, they say, as they would say, they're little but they're mighty, can help keep our system in check. Now you might think, okay, but then what causes this? Okay, it does all of these marvelous stuff. Then what does it actually do? Well, it says that inflammation that doesn't turn on can lead into chronic inflammation, which are caused by poor nutrition, lack of sleep, smoking and pollution, and long-term stresses and unresolved emotional pain. Yeah. And it says it causes high blood pressure. That's what we spoke about last week when I done my, I'll call it the introductory of morning tea. We was talking about high blood pressure alongside the leaf of life and all of the components. If you want to know about the leaf of life and high blood pressure, which is also hypertension, go and have a look at the intro episode to morning tea, and you can see that I've given some information there. It also does good for heart disease and type 2 diabetes, arthritis, and long-term illnesses. These are all of the things that can be caused by chronic inflammation. And just by adding turmeric, oh, by the way, if you do take turmeric, please go and seek medical advice before you implement these into any part of your diet, especially if you are on medication. Please, I am not telling you to stop what you're doing. We're just looking at other options that can coincide along traditional, along with modern, and see where we can find balances, because Mother Nature out there is provided it all. We shouldn't just have to solely just rely on tablets or artificial ingredients if that can be supplemented in the natural format. And this is the parts that we're looking at. So please, 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 guys, okay? So yes, as you can see, these are all the things that inflammation, that can cause inflammation. So I also just spoke about emotional pain. Yes, so just like you have chronic inflammation, you also have emotional inflammation. Oh yeah, the emotional blueprint practitioner. I'm gonna bring it in somewhere, you know, because this is about food, health, and environment. What's food about? Food is about nutrition. It's about our diet. Our health. What's our health? Our health is our body, our mind, and our soul. Our body is our temple. Okay? Our mind is our thought patterns, the way that we think, the way how we frame things and situations. And then we have our soul, our spirituality. And that encompasses all of our well-being, including the environments. I cannot miss out environments. The environments could be your own private space in your room, to your home, to your family and friends, to your workplace. Environments are places where you are based at different times in your community. These all have major influences on your whole well-being and who you are as an individual. So we touch on all bases. So yes, I will bring it back to the emotional element, because as you heard me say earlier, your emotions are connected or influences every single thing that you do. So in part, it is the core, the foundation, a part of the foundation, because that is where we operate from. So here, emotional inflammation says a difficult conversation may upset you maybe a couple of days. That's fine. We all have irritants. We all have moments where we have to dissect and digest and, you know, put things into perspective. That's fine. Here where now the issue may start to creep in is when you start replaying these same memories weeks, months, and years in with no resolution. It's not as if you're revisiting them in being able to identify your progress and where work may still need to be done in your development. That is fine. Life is a journey. It's supposed to be about development. Where the issue starts coming in is when you become stuck, fixated within a certain place that draws you into a dark space rather than it allowing you to reach for light. That starts to take a toll, especially over time. Can you imagine having to deal with bitterness? That may not even belong to you. It could be even projected onto you. What about living in constant fear to where you feel enabled or disabled to be able to do anything that matters to you and to who you are and your being? Imagine being in environments where you feel emotionally unstable or safe. And having to deal with that on a day-to-day basis, even over years, decades. Do you know that your emotional alarm system can stay on just like your inflammation sensory that doesn't switch off? When you're in positions where you're continually having to be on high alert, that can you imagine having to live with, deal with bitterness, not just with inside you, but is projected onto you? Could you imagine emotionally living in constant fear? Could you imagine feeling emotionally unsafe? Do you know that your emotions can also stay on high alert? Without you even realizing it, because it has become your norm throughout the years. Can you imagine knowing that something ain't quite right? You're searching, you're digging. You kind of almost feel like blind man's bluff. Trying to turn off an alarm that you never actually fully understood was even on, or the extent of it. Now, emotional inflammation doesn't necessarily cause diseases. However, the long-term impact of stress, or I should say, the long-term stress has an impact on your bodily functions. Because as I explained to you earlier, your emotions is about how you think and how you feel and the way how you behave, you act. All these three things combined make up your emotions that heavily influence your actions. So, although it doesn't cause diseases by itself, there's elements of it that can hinder your health. Not just physically within your body, but also within your mind, also with mental health. That with both working in that environment and living within the communities, there is still very much a stigma and shame around it, which I also really believe has to end within the Asian, South Asian especially, Black, African and Caribbean islands. All of you. You make joke of it, we laugh about it. Me a madman, them a madman. There's this, there's that. Harsh, keep it down. Don't bring shame on the family. Oh my gosh. Or even you within yourself, I feel shame. I don't want to let anybody know that I'm going through this. So you mask it up. You mask it up until it could potentially lead to dire outcomes. And as a community, as a people as a whole, a mindset on that needs to shift. However, in with saying that, I also do understand that there are the minority, the few, that takes the labelings that comes with and under mental health and manipulate it and use it within a narcissistic manner. That's not what we're talking about here, but I can't not, I believe, not speak about it and don't put that part in also. But I really do believe that your health is your wealth. And we have to really start taking deep consideration into how we are looking after ourselves and understanding our framing of situations and experiences and start questioning ourselves. Where did that thought pattern come from? What influenced my choices and decisions within life to frame a situation within a particular manner? Because I feel that when we start going into those type of depths within ourselves, one, it gives us a better understanding about who we are. And two, enhance our health. And three, enhance our relationships. Because whether we know it or not, things are led down generationally. Things are being taught generationally. And what's not taught is caught. So I would suggest that we start doing that and doing it on a regular basis. If we truly want to understand ourselves, if we truly want to improve our health. Because with certain of these ailments that we have to deal with, we could feel actually perfectly fine in the physical sense and be literally burning up on the inside. So once again, I hope you have found today's official first episode of use And as always, I give God thanks first and foremost, each and every time. He comes first, all the time. So first I want to give God thanks. And then I want to give you thanks for taking the time out and share. I really do appreciate it. So until next week, I'll be sipping my tea and minding my business, because I understand that health is my wealth. And yours too. Until next week, bye guys.